Welcome back to Ask Nico, where you guys ask me questions and I try my best to try and give you guys advice. The first question is from Listic Does Things. Hey Nico, currently I'm 16 years old and have always had the fear of becoming an adult for some reason. I sometimes worry about when I turn 18 and then having to deal with paying for my car, phone, and splitting bills with my parents, along with college and possibly moving to a dormitory to a new life far away from home. I can't find a job even after filling out tens of job applications, and I'm worried about trying to get a Bright Future scholarship. I'm worried I might screw this up. Becoming an adult is a scary thing. The rules change. You're no longer in your free trial of life anymore. You're kind of just being thrown into the deep end in many cases. And it's okay to be worried about it. I mean, I can't say I was necessarily worried when I became an adult. I think I just kind of ran with it. I kind of just rolled with the punches of becoming an adult. You don't necessarily realize it right away. Like my first couple of years of college, I think I was kind of like on an extended high school. And then, I guess COVID hit for me, but it didn't really hit me until I was actually out of the dormitories, because there wasn't like a supervisor there. There wasn't necessarily an RA. I was in a house with 5 other guys, doing my own laundry, cooking my own food, paying bills like rent and, internet and all that stuff. But I wasn't afraid of it, and I'll tell you why. You kind of just fall into it, okay? You adapt to it when it comes time to adapt to it. For some, it's harder than others, but the main thing is you're going to be okay, because everyone goes through this experience, okay? Every single person becomes an adult, right? If you make it to the age of 18, you become an adult, and then you start having adult responsibilities and an adult life. So honestly, there's nothing really to worry about. You'll deal with it, you'll get there, you'll make it through, just like everyone else does. And if you want some consolation about the fact, you can talk to your parents. They're adults and have been doing it for quite a while. Especially if you're 16 years old, they've been adults at least 16 years, no matter when they had you. As far as you not being able to find a job, you're also just 16. I don't know what jobs you're applying for. Most jobs don't hire minors because they can't really work as long as adults can. Some places just straight up can't hire minors, especially. So don't worry too much about getting a job. Worry more about your schoolwork and what your plan is after school, whether it's going to college, trade school, starting a business, whatever you want to do. And if you make sure that you're doing well in school and doing your best, that's how you get rid of worrying about scholarships and stuff. And as far as you being worried about screwing it up overall, even if you do, everything will be fine. Okay? Screwing up is part of life. Screwing up is what we need to do in order to evolve and become better people and grow. So overall, there's nothing to worry about. You'll be fine. I'm turning out just fine and I'm 23. So best of luck to you. The next question is from Tebc Was Taken. Hello. About last 2 to 3 years now, ever since COVID, I've been feeling empty. To fill that emptiness, I played a bunch of games and activities. Now I just seem to be bored of life itself. I'm extremely bored all the time, no matter what I do. It's gotten to the point where I'm daydreaming constantly. It's become almost like a mental illness, and I seem to be wanting someone's affection of some kind. I can't really explain those feelings. What should I do? Feeling empty means that you need some sort of sense of purpose in your life. You mentioned in this comment that you're 15. I didn't read that out, but being 15 and feeling empty means that you need to find a hobby, and you need to, find friends to talk to. You mentioned that you want some sort of affection, right? That affection can come from a partner, but it can also come from friends. Again, I don't know what your social situation is, but I would advise you to talk to some friends, try and make some new friends as much as you can, and find some sort of hobby that you can do that you enjoy. Because it seems like you don't really enjoy playing games and whatever activities you're doing right now. It seems like you're just doing it to fill the time, which is fine. It's a way to, kill time, but like you said, it's not really changing that empty feeling you have. You could also try and get a part-time job of sorts. If you really like video games, you can, work at GameStop or whatever the equivalent is in your country. Find something that you're passionate about. Find something that you want to do, something that piques your interest. If nothing piques your interest at all, there might be a more serious conversation that has to be had with you about what you're feeling, or you're not feeling. But try and look into things that you might find interesting. If you don't have an idea, a good old YouTube search of what should I do in my spare time could be good enough for you. In any case, I hope you are able to fill that void. The next question is from second6950. Hey Nico, I'm 21 and I'm starting to realize that all the effort I'm putting into the sport I compete in is going to waste. I can dial in the factors that lead to doing well in my sport, as I have for many years now, but I'll never be better than someone who's putting in the same effort as me, but has better genetics than me. I love the sport for what it is, and I'm competitive at heart, but it's a lot of time, energy, and money I'm investing that could be put elsewhere, like my studies, career, or hobbies I leisurely enjoy. I don't know what to do. Continuing will be an uphill battle I'll never fully win, but it's my only competitive/physical output, and I feel like if I give it up, I'll lose that part of myself. But I know fully well that time and energy can be put elsewhere in my life and make a drastic difference. So you have to have a conversation with yourself, an honest conversation with yourself, and be realistic about the sport you're doing. You also mentioned in parentheses that you can't inherently make a career out of this sport, like other sports. To be completely fair, most sports are hard to make careers out of anyway. That's number one. So have a realistic look on this specific sport. I don't know what it is. There's a few sports that just straight up can't make careers out of, and there's others that you kind of can. So have that conversation with yourself. Look at the market realistically and see, does this sport need more athletes? Is this sport profitable for athletes? And what can I do to make this profitable for myself? Now, as far as you saying that you'll never be better than someone who's putting the same effort as you because of genetics, I would call that a cop-out. There's no real way to measure genetics, okay? There's no way to measure if someone is going to be better at you than a sport, because genetics are not the only thing that play into this. Sure, there's always going to be someone that is naturally better at you at some sort of task because they're wired differently than you are. But those people are not always as disciplined as you are at what you're doing. Sports are not only about talent and genetics, they're about discipline. If you're finding yourself having lack of discipline, then that's a different issue. But if you stay disciplined and try your best and work as hard as you can towards this goal of yours, then you can most likely do whatever you want with it. You'll most likely end up being better than someone who has better genetics than you, quote unquote. But only if you're really willing to put in that amount of work and effort and try your best at it. Now, if you think it's not worth the time, the energy, and the money you're spending in it, then perhaps you should look into different avenues. But only you really know that answer. If you find that you really want to spend more time in your career and studies, or whatever that career and studies may be, and hobbies, then by all means, take a look at that avenue as well. But keep in mind, with the mindset that you're never going to win, you're not going to win. Most of the battle right now seems like it's in your head. You giving me this thing about genetics and stuff, that just sounds like an excuse to me personally. Now, all things considered, if you do decide to leave the sport competitively and you put in less effort and you're just gonna kind of let it fade away, you don't necessarily have to give it up entirely. You can do it in your spare time. You can, play the sport non-competitively. You can play it casually and keep it in your life. You don't have to completely lose it, as you said. But make sure that that is the right choice for you. Make sure that you've logically laid out all of your options and say, okay, here are the pros of me continuing this sport and trying to go full-time competitive and make a living out of it. And here are the cons. And then on the other side, look at the pros and cons of not doing it. Look at the pros and cons of pursuing a different avenue in life. And when you sit and analyze those facts for a bit, then you'll come to a conclusion that you might not necessarily like, but it will be the one that you need to hear, or the one that you will need to come to anyway. The next question is from Ryan's DSD. Hello, Nico. I'm a 20-year-old guy, and I'm repeating a second year of university for the year 2024-2025. I wanted to ask you if there are any other ways than continuing down this path, knowing that I'm studying economics and management, and that before enrolling, I wanted to avoid going to university. I'm in France, so it's not expensive, but I may have wasted my time. Okay, first things first, you didn't waste your time, okay? Economics and management are always useful skills to have, even if they are at a lesser capacity, because you don't actually have a full degree. Now, are there other paths to go down other than the one that you're on? Yes, but you might not necessarily like all the paths. I don't know how important college is in France. I'm not fully aware of how detrimental not having a college degree is in France, but I'm going to assume that you're closing yourself off from corporate type jobs and internships when you don't have a college degree in economics and management. Now, what you can do is pursue something that is more of a manual labor job. You can go into a trade school, learn how to be a plumber, an electrician. You can do other types of jobs that involve more people skills, like being a bartender and stuff like that. In essence, you're opening yourself to a different type of job market. A job market that might not need a degree, but requires more of a physical type of labor. Now, if you don't like that kind of option, you can always pursue a degree that is different than economics and management. Or you could try starting up your own business with what you know now, but that would require you knowing what the business model is and what you need to do and what you want to do. So I don't necessarily recommend that route. But it all comes down to, if you really didn't want to go to university, then odds are you weren't going to do that well in university. Now, luckily for you, as you said, you're in France and it's not as expensive. You can walk away mostly unscathed. Like, you made an investment, you didn't fully commit to that investment, so at least you're not paying too much out of pocket. I think the best thing you can do for yourself right now, drop out of college for a year, give yourself that year to try and figure out what you want to do, and really sit and think about it. Don't just sit and waste away for a year and then you wasted a year for no reason. Really sit down and see what your overall life goals are. Do you want to make a lot of money? Do you want to have a healthy work-life balance? Do you want to focus on having a family rather than doing work? All of these things are things you should factor in when making that decision. So, best of luck to you, and I hope you find what you want to do. The next question is from ShadowScared9386. Hi Nico, I'm 19, and in a few years I'm going to move to a country that I dreamed of moving since I was a kid. The thing is that I don't really know where I'm going to find friends. I'm not that introverted. I like having fun talking with my friends, mostly online, but I like staying at home too, and don't go outside often. Because of that, I don't really know where to meet new friends. Also, the thought of approaching a group of people gives me anxiety. It makes me think that there is no way that a group of friends would accept a random guy that came up to them. In short, I was hoping for some advice for how to meet and make new friends outside of school. I think it's pretty cool that you're moving to a country that you've always dreamed of. As far as where you're going to find friends, that all depends on what you're doing. You said you're 19, so I'm assuming that you're either going to go to college or you're going to have to find a job in this new country. If you go to college, it's pretty easy because all you have to do is talk to a couple of classmates, the person you're sitting next to. You're going to have different classes, different things you can do. Another thing you can do is go out to bars, right? Depending on what country you're in, 19 is a legal drinking age. Or if you don't like the bar scene, you can try doing a sport. If you don't like sports, you can try cafes, you can try anything. Honestly, anything that other people do for leisurely time is a place that you can socialize for the most part. Of course, there's exceptions to that, but in general, any sort of hobbyist type of thing is a good place to make friends. As far as approaching a group of people giving you anxiety, you don't have to approach a group of people. If you're at a social event or a function of the sorts, you can go up to someone who may not be in a group. Remember, you're not alone. Not everyone loves to be in large groups of people, and sometimes people who don't like being in large groups of people end up being in large groups of people. And those are the so-called wallflowers that lean against the wall and just kind of watch what's going on around them. That's the type of person you might want to approach. Even if they don't necessarily love the idea of being approached, you guys might find out that you have things in common and become friends. Now, if you're not going to school, you don't have that much access to social events, don't like bars and stuff, you are most likely going to find a job. And if you find a job that is in person, you will most likely have coworkers that you will be able to talk to and will likely have their own friend groups and friends. You can even just hang out with them after work. Those are some ways that you can make friends. It all comes down to, are you making the effort to surround yourself with people? And are you making an effort to talk to people that you're surrounded by? And you never know. Somebody might approach you the same way you would approach them. Oh, and the final thing, you're moving to a new country. You're kind of the new kid on the block. And people find that intriguing. So people might actually ask you and say, oh, where are you from? And whatever, you have an accent, or depending on where the country is or what, if it's an English-speaking country. If somebody moves from the US to the UK, people in the UK are going to recognize, oh, this is an American. He has an American accent. So that could be your first talking point. Someone might just straight up ask you like, hey, you sound foreign. Where are you from? And then you just start a conversation. And then from there, it's pretty much easy. As long as you hold the conversation long enough and say, you know what, you're pretty cool. We should be friends. We should hang out more. Let me get your contact information. Anyway, hope this helps and best of luck to you. The next question is from Triffy. I can't pronounce that name. Hello, Nico. I love your content and would love if you saw my situation. So basically, I'm a teenager in high school right now, and I'm living a pretty good life. I have friends, I'm doing fine in school, but I'm kind of eager for a friend who considers me their best friend. It kind of sucks when I'm in these friend groups and I see people who tell each other everything first, and I'm kind of that side friend for everyone I know. Sometimes I feel selfish for even wanting one, but when I'm not as important to someone as they are to me, it hurts a little bit. Just wanted to see what your opinion is on this and how to resolve my concerns. Thanks. I used to have a best friend in elementary school, into middle school, fell out with them, but then made a new best friend or two in middle school. It kind of just happens naturally. And it happens through experiences I find the most. Like, for example, my experiences with some of my closest friends are the reason they are some of my closest friends. Because if you go on a vacation together and you have a very cool experience, or you have a traumatic experience, or you have something that kind of bonds you guys, that's what makes a best friend for the most part, in my opinion. Also, hanging out with them every day and talking to them also creates that same experience feeling, because you're kind of intertwined in their lives and they're intertwined in yours. And it's not selfish for you to feel that way, by the way. People want deeper connections with other people. People crave that, actually. And I'm one of those people, right? In fact, some of my best and closest friends are currently 5,000 miles away from me. But I have a couple of people that I would consider very close friends on this side of the pond. You know, one of my closest friends in the United States is actually my ex-roommate, because I lived with him, I bonded with him, and we went through things together. And I consider him very close. So I guess if you want close friends and you're eager for that best friend, it's not going to happen by you trying to make it happen. If it happens, it will happen naturally. And as far as you being less important to someone as they are to you, do you know that because you see it? Do you know that because they told you? Do you know that, like, how are you getting this information? And of course, there are telltale signs for this type of stuff, but picture this. They might also think that they're not as important to you, depending on how you're treating them. So try and decipher that a bit. Try and stand outside of your own shoes and go into someone else's shoes. In any case, just find someone that you like hanging out with a lot. And if they like hanging out with you a lot, then odds are you guys are going to become best friends just from the amount of time you spend together. The next question is from MaxGamerGG. Hi Nico, I'm Max, 15 years old. A year ago, my best friend moved away because of some family problems. We had been best friends for over 4 years before he moved. Since then, we mostly talk when we play games together. And I think that's the only thing keeping us connected. Sometimes I feel sad because I haven't been able to make other friends since he moved. I have no best friends and hardly talk to anyone. The only things I do are study and play games for about 5 hours daily with my friend who moved away. Feels like something is missing in my life since he left. What can I do to strengthen our friendship that now feels limited to gaming? And how can I improve my social life? I'm not very social and struggle with communication, which makes things even harder. So I was the friend that actually moved away. Okay, I was the friend that moved away to a new place when I was 15 years old and had to start over. So I understand how you're feeling in terms of losing your best friend. As far as connecting to him, the best thing you can do is just talk online and game and do your best to maintain your connection like that. I've been going through the same thing for the past 8 years now. Some of my closest friends, as I mentioned, are so far away from me. But you know what? Every time we talk, it's like we never stop talking and seeing each other. Every time we game, it's like, oh, it's business as usual. It's like I never left. Like I still went to school with them and everything, because we talk to each other and we shared our experiences and we, tried our best to stay in touch. And sometimes I'll go months without talking to some of my friends, but it's still fine and it's enough because we all know that that's the best we can do. There's nothing I can do that will necessarily get me to be closer to them other than the online connections that we have. Sure, I see them once in a while when I go back to my home country and, maybe once a year. And that once a year is so special and we make the best out of it. And then everything goes back to normal. You mentioned that it's hard to visit your friend because of your family situation. Try your best. And if you can't do it, then the online time that you spend with him is going to have to suffice because it's the best you can do. As far as making new friends, I understand it's hard and struggling with communication doesn't help. But the best thing you can do is try. Try and talk to your classmates. Try and talk to people that surround you. Try your best to be more actively engaged in trying to be social. It might suck. It might be difficult. You might be anxious about it. But if you really want it that badly, that's what you have to do. Like I mentioned earlier in the other comment I responded to, sports are a good way. Clubs are a good way, and activities to make friends. Any way that you can bond with other people over a common interest or activity is the easiest way to make friends, in my personal opinion. So look around and see what you can do in terms of that. In any case, best of luck to you. The next question is from Happy Whale 729. Hey Nico, I'm 13, nearly 14-year-old boy. I'm pretty much living the supposed dream, but it doesn't feel like it. I get straight A's, go to the best school in my area. My family is somewhat rich. I play state soccer and have loads of friends, but nothing just feels great. I struggle to feel happy because I'm always worrying about my future. Whenever I'm with my friends, I can never seem to connect, and all of this makes me feel sad because I'm wasting such a great life and I just don't know what to do. Hoping you can help me. Well, here's the thing. just because you get straight A's and you're in the best school and you have a rich family and all of the things that you mentioned, that doesn't necessarily mean that it's the dream life for you, okay? People have different expectations of life and different wants and needs from it. I would say that you can consider yourself lucky to have all of these things, right? These are not things you should take for granted, and it's great. But like you said, you need something more because you're worrying about your future. The thing is, worrying about your future is once again something that you can't control. You can't always control what's going to happen in your future. I mentioned this in the previous video. But worrying about the future, you kind of destroy your present. Besides, you're 13, turning 14, okay? You have a lot of time to worry about your future, but now isn't really the time. As far as you connecting with your friends, sometimes it can be hard to connect with your friends because sometimes the friends that you have access to at 13 and 14 aren't people that you can always connect with because you have different interests, different hobbies, different views of life. So if you're struggling to connect with them, maybe try and talk to different people. It sounds like you have loads of friends, so maybe narrow it down to a couple of people that you actually really like hanging out with. People with too many friends end up having no friends in the end because they only like those people just enough to call them friends. But if you narrow things down and you narrow your overall social circle down, you might see that, hey, connecting to these 2 or 3 people is better than having 100 people as my friends. So maybe I should do that. That could be a way for you to connect better with your friends. But there's nothing to really be sad about. It sounds like you have everything you need to get yourself going, but you just need to chill out a little bit, you know? You're 13 turning 14. You have time. In any case, hope this helps and best of luck to you. The next question is from Sleepless5240. Hey Nico, I'm 19 and going into college later this month, 2 hours and 30 minutes away from my hometown. There's this girl I've known for years who has helped me with many things I've been going through for the past year, and I've grown to really like her and see her in a romantic light. I wouldn't call it full-on love per se, but I've really grown close to her, and I want to let her know how I feel before I leave. How do you think I should go about it, if going about it is even a good idea at all? Here's the thing. You're going to college 2 hours and 30 minutes away from your hometown. College is a place where you meet a lot of new people very quickly, and it's very easy to get bogged down and possibly set your sights on a different girl. That 2 hour and 30 minutes is going to be a big issue when you're in a new place with new people, and especially with new women. You can go the route of telling her how you feel and possibly doing something about it, but I think this relationship is going to hurt you a lot. And what I mean by hurt you, I mean it's going to be a long distance issue that you're going to have to go back and forth to see each other. In my personal opinion, I don't think it's the best idea to go about it now. Now that being said, the heart wants what the heart wants. If you really think that this is what you want, I would just straight up tell her, this is how I feel, I really like you, etc. Now, there's a big chance you might just straight up say no. There's a big chance you might just straight up say, well, you're going to college, I don't think this is going to work out. At the end of the day here, the logical decision and the decision that makes the most sense is to probably let that kind of fade. That's what I would personally do, especially because you might find someone in college that you really like, and you might fall for this person, and then, all of a sudden, you have this girlfriend 2.5 hours away, or whatever person you're dating 2.5 hours away that you're losing touch with, and you just got in a relationship with, and now you're going to hurt because someone that's closer to you and more easily accessible is showing you the same type of attention. So do with that information what you will. Best of luck to you, and I hope it works out, whatever you do choose. But anyway, that's all we have for today. If you have any questions for me that you would like me to answer in the next video, leave them in the comments below. And if you would like to play Minecraft with me, join the Niko SMP, linked in the description below. Thank you all so much for watching, and as always, good night and good luck, everybody.